Halo fans deserved better, but sadly, they got Halo Campaign Evolved. And let's be real here, the game is a complete disaster from start to finish. It's boring, it's dull, and somehow they managed to remaster an old game and remove mechanics that it had and replace them with nothing. They removed mechanics, quality of life features, and the only thing they seemingly have added is 15 different ways to tell how many needles you have left, which is absolutely mind boggling. How do you make these decisions? And this is obviously not even looking into the pandering, the wokeness, the messaging, the obvious disdain for the player base. The Chud spat on it, the fans ignored it. And Halo 2 is most likely not going to get a remake at this point. But considering this game is probably not even at 500k copies sold, which is insanely abysmal for any Halo game or any AAA game in general, I don't think they're going to even make a remake of Halo 2. Granted, at this point, I don't think anyone even wants it after this disappointment.
It is time to answer an absolutely loaded question. Maddie, what is the future of the Halo franchise? Pull up a chair. This is going to be a long conversation, okay? Because there's no quick, easy answer to this. It's just a lot of combing through leaks, combing through rumors, combing through reports, and looking at the very project.
I think Halo is going to be put on ice. Not exactly abandoned, but definitely put on ice for a couple of years. Halo Infinite was bad. Halo 5 people are saying was bad. And obviously this is a complete slap in the face. At this point, it's clearly that the player base knows Halo is bad.
That Halo Studios themselves have put out over the last 5 years, and that's amounted to 2 games. One, a mainline entry in Halo Infinite that was obviously not ready for launch if its multiplayer support was anything to go by, but also the fact that the story was unfinished, and then they completed that in a book. It says a lot. But then there's Halo Campaign Evolved. After 5 years of nothing really happening with the Halo franchise, it's back. It's on Unreal Engine 5, and you have a game that's already been released to you multiple times before between its original release, anniversary.
5 years for this. As we discussed in yesterday's video, people are pretty pissed about that. 5 years for a remaster? This is Bethesda levels of development.
Edition and then Master Chief Collection. It's now back for a 4th time as a full-on remake. And this project makes sense if you look at it from a development standpoint. Like, I get why Halo Studios wanted to do this, because they can make an asset library for a Halo game on an entirely brand new engine, and while they're doing that, sell you something. But for the fans, I never really felt like this project made sense outside of maybe at one point Xbox's Project Latitude. But now, with that seemingly going to the wayside as Xbox is returning to exclusivity, it feels like Halo Campaign Evolved is just out of sync on so many levels. The reality is this: unless Halo Campaign Evolved was an absolute 10 out of 10.
Does anyone else find it funny how absolutely desperate consoles are for finding something that works? They went super unexclusive. Both now regret it. PlayStation and Xbox regret it. And now they're gonna go super exclusive. Which, needless to say, is also not gonna work because Steam is where all the sales are.
Remake and completely over-delivered on a level where you had Halo Studios outdoing Bungie here. The question was always going to be the same. It's been 5 years since the last mainline entry, and all you've got for us is a remake. You just look across at someone like Capcom, and you see how ideal their release structure is, where you get something like a Resident Evil Requiem, and then just a few months later, you get the announcement of a brand new remake in Code Veronica. And you already know that Resident Evil Veronica isn't going to take away from the mainline series of Resident Evil. In fact,
people have been telling me to look into Resident Evil, but I'm not a Resident Evil guy. I'm in general not even a Capcom guy. I just like Monster Hunter. That's pretty much honestly it. And even we haven't even talked about that in a while. So Resident Evils and all of these things don't really interested me too much, but people have been telling me that one of the newest Capcom Resident Evil games is looking kind of woke. I wonder if that's true.
If Requiem was anything to go by, it's going to significantly add to it as the stories start to meld together. Not only that, but Capcom has a proven quality with these remakes of taking and both remaking and reimagining these classics in ways that dramatically improve the game. You can't really say the same for Campaign Evolved in almost any facet, and what's scary enough is that everything newly added to Halo Campaign Evolved, such as those prequel missions, are easily, I believe, the worst part of the package. Such as, you know, little world building details like having human weapons on a Covenant weapon rack the second you enter a ship, to the way Sergeant Johnson like talks to the camera, like just really bad directorial decisions, hard rock music appearing when he shows up on screen.
By the way, Maddie is gonna tell you the weaknesses of this guy. Probably the best part of the remake, to be completely honest. But he's not gonna mention Girl Boss. Girl Boss is sacred. Girl Boss gets the Girl Boss, okay? It is what it is.
Awkward standoffs and dialogue pacing where everyone's pointing weapons at one another, but no one's actually shooting, which just would never happen in a Halo game. Uninteresting characters. Of course, everyone's been going in on the ODST chick, and I can't blame them. I sort of saw that one.
Oh, he actually mentioned it. Holy shit. This is character progression for Maddie. Holy.
Coming when I was reviewing the game, I was like, oh boy, yeah, this is not going to be received well. And on top of that, last but certainly not least, uninteresting combat and mission design that normally in Halo campaigns coalesces into something really memorable when you hit that climax point in the mission. So all in all, it's not a really good showing, and when all these pieces, both visually, which I have my own issues with, and design-wise, are going to be used for the future of the Halo franchise, it starts to get a bit spooky. And that's before we even go through inside reports on just how long it might be until we see something new from the Halo franchise. So there's a lot to take in when it comes to Halo. But let's take an honest look at what's going on with this franchise and what you can expect moving forward. All the leaks and rumors that we've got from Halo Studios have been
By the way, we could be getting another Halo game that's already in the works just so it gets finished. But after that, I mean, I don't think anything new is going to be started. So maybe there is one more game, but after that, I think we're going to definitely see the drought. Again, franchises don't work like this where you can fail 5 times in a row, unless you're Blizzard, I guess. But you can fail 5 times in a row and, you know, you just keep on trucking. Even though this was Xbox's big thing, it's still not that powerful.
Thanks to Rebs Gaming, and when it came to at least what happened with Halo Campaign Evolved, he was pretty spot on. Windows Central Gaming covered some of Rebs Gaming's earlier reports, and everything that was reported about Campaign Evolved, like level changes to the design of the library, a campaign remix feature, skulls allowing you to play in third person, brutes appearing alongside Covenant units in the main story campaign thanks to the campaign remix feature, brutes appearing in the 3 prequel missions, armor skins being available, new weapons like the SMG, Spiker, and Brute Plasma Rifle being available.
Yeah. Armor skins available. Who wouldn't expect that? How many LGBTQ plus rainbow skins are there? How many Pride Month celebrations, Black Power, and other garbage skins are there? I'm sure they're gonna buy the rainbow. I'm sure everyone's just running over to the microtransaction shop and buying a supporter Spartan skin. I'm so sure that's happening.
Available. Whoever was leaking details to Rebs is legit, and they seem to know what's going on within Halo Studios. That's important to note because there's 2 key reports I want to get into from Rebs Gaming. One was from 11 days ago, where he says that apparently Halo...
To be honest, I could have... The potential leaks here, I could have made them up and been equally as right. Third person is the only thing that's hard to say. Obviously, new maps, as in new missions or campaigns or whatever you want to call them, that's going to obviously always happen, okay? Let's not say anything hot like, for example, new weapons. That's probably not happening. But skins and microtransactions, yeah, sure, that's happening. We could have just sat here for 1 minute together and probably figured out all of the leak.
Studios doesn't have any other mainline campaign or multiplayer projects in full development. They only have early concepts for new projects. My brother in Christ, it's 2026. It's been 5 years since the last mainline game. 5 years. Come on. Development teams are now trying to hurry up on creating the vision and concepts for the next main Halo game. And I'm told there's uncertainty around what will happen with the Halo 2 and 3 remakes, and nobody at the Halo Studios heard of a Halo MMO. If it's actually real, Halo Studios has nothing to do with it at this.
Can you imagine how poor a Halo MMO would be? Can you actually imagine how sad that would be? Because everyone knows that there's no quality in Halo. It's just a waste of money. No one wants to buy it, and I mean, it's been funny to kind of shit on it a little bit, but I mean, even that's getting kind of old.
Time. So we'll talk about what's going on with Halo 2 and 3 remake. What's most important here is no mainline campaign or multiplayer project in development. Why is that the case? Well, let's go back a little bit to Project Eker. In a report by Windows Central, they corroborated the report by Rebs Gaming that Project Eker, which was a title Halo Studios was working on that was multiplayer exclusive, has been 100% canceled. For those who want to go through the development history with this game, my God. Okay, WCC.
Is it just like a multiplayer shooter again? Once again, you know, team-based combat?
CF Tech has the rundown here. Eker originated after the earlier cancellation of the Battle Royale game codenamed Project Tatanka, and if you've watched my channel, we covered Project Tatanka for a while because that was apparently a certain affinity-driven Halo project. The breakdown continues saying, following the cancellation, Halo Studios began transitioning to Unreal Engine 5, and Certain Affinity was tasked with prototyping Eker to explore that transition. The project had two core technical goals: to determine whether Halo Infinite's slipspace and blam assets could be imported into Unreal Engine 5, and evaluating whether Unreal Engine could be made to feel like Halo. Two things that I think Halo Studios would want to be doing themselves. Not that they weren't, but like, you're outsourcing that? Good God, dude. Both goals were reportedly achieved by June 2023, when Halo Infinite's Slipspace engine assets and Tatanka map were imported into Eker and tested via live-fire gameplay sessions involving AI combatants. The source believes that by September 2023, that was the internal deadline for a full prototype and a green light decision on the project. During this period, an extraction shooter concept was explored, but the direction had shifted towards a large-scale team battle-based.
This does make kind of sense, I guess, because, you know, this is Tarkov years.
Concept in which players and their squad of AI teammates explore a map, gather resources, and fight other players' teams. Some extraction-style elements remain, but the closer conceptual touchstone cited is Halo 5's Warzone mode, rather than a traditional extraction shooter, and Rebs Gaming describes it as a super big team battle mode. Certain Affinity was also reportedly pitching playable Spartans and Elites with deep character customization compared to Halo 4's customization style. So this is quite the journey from what started off as a battle royale game being outsourced, turning into an extraction shooter, which turned into a super big team battle mode. And the thing that you're realizing with this probably already is one thing that Halo Studios seem to fail to understand is just charting your own course. Because all these have been trends at one point or another. And the only thing that sounds very Halo is a super big team battle mode. But the recap continues from WCCF Tech, where they write, the second source is a separate longtime contact of the YouTuber who stated that Certain Affinity is not the studio currently developing the next Halo multiplayer project. However, Eker's existence is corroborated independently as data miner grunt.api previously discovered a test server used by Halo Studios for the project, specifically a type of internal test server called a Thunderhead server, which was confirmed to be tied to Eker. Putting the two sources together, the working theory is that Certain Affinity prototyped Eker on Halo Studios' behalf, but the development has since moved in-house at Halo Studios, which just like outsourcing the foundational pieces is the most insane shit I've ever heard. Point being is that was the journey of Project.
Honestly, how can that be worse than them making a game themselves? I mean, we already know that this studio, these people are not capable of making anything. So, isn't outsourcing technically like the smartest thing they can do because they're failures?
Eker up until its cancellation. It shifted genres left and right, and then it got shut down very recently. So the latest report from Rebs Gaming is a mixture of speculation, but he's heard some different things since then. There might actually be another multiplayer project that was in development on top of everything else here. He writes, if everything goes right for Halo Studios, a Halo 2 remake, a multiplayer project, and
if you're wondering why, by the way, there's potentially so many things that they are exploring and ideas that they are wanting to go, it's pretty simple because Xbox hasn't had games for a decade and a half at least at this point. It's been pretty rough. It's been pretty rough. You know, they're effectively like Bethesda with Skyrim. So they green companies when they're kind of desperate like this, they tend to just green light everything that they can from something that still has prominence. And in this case, it was Halo. So why is there 50 trillion unfinished Halo ideas? Well, that's because you can't actually just make all of them at the same time because they're gonna overlap, and technically then they just steal players from each other, and that's a stupid business idea. But this is why they all look into a lot of possibilities and just see what's actually possible and then do something. Because they're gonna do something and they start doing the next thing or getting ready for the next thing while the main thing is happening. This is why there's so many canceled Halo projects. Because at one point this was the only thing that Xbox had that even resembled a game.
And a campaign project are what's next for Halo's future. The best case scenario is that the next multiplayer game is further in development than what I was told, because the next main campaign is definitely in early development and far from release. So let's pick this apart piece by piece as we get into more supporting information. A Halo 2 remake. This was officially confirmed thanks to the Halo Campaign Evolved remake, right? At the end of that game on Legendary difficulty, there's Sergeant Johnson telling you he'll see you in the sequel in a brand new cutscene. So yeah, they're telling you a Halo 2 remake is on the way. This again brings out the big questions. How does this justify itself when you have Halo 2 in Master Chief Collection with the blur cutscenes, which improve upon the original dramatically? This was at a point where everyone went, oh, this is the definitive way to play. This is incredible. How are you outdoing that if your cutscene direction for Halo Campaign Evolved was as bad as we all just saw? Again, this just reads as a product more for Halo Studios than for us as players. At least we can say with Halo 2, there isn't like 8 other releases for the game. So there is at least that. But if people thought folks were overcritical about Halo 1 getting remade, you haven't seen anything yet. Halo 2 and on, it gets more and more beloved. You could argue, and I would definitely hear you out, that Halo 1 is easily the most flawed of the bunch from Bungie. You know, there is a lot of reused assets in the back half of the campaign. There are missions, like the library, that stretch on far too long. There are issues with Halo 1, and I don't think that Halo Campaign Evolved really solved any of them, barring, I think, the library being designed a little bit better, but not so much so that it overhauls the entire package and makes it feel...
Again, they literally made it worse. Was it yesterday also, or was it before yesterday, where we saw the posts on Twitter from Xbox and Halo Studios where they were trying to get people to buy and play Halo Campaign Evolved by saying, oh, look at how good the water looks. Well, it's a Halo game. Who fucking gives a shit what the water looks like? What are we talking about? What are we doing? What? Why? Why are you mentioning the water? Who cares? And then we're like, the water. What do you think when you see the water? Do you want to buy the game when you see the water? These people are insane, okay? And honestly, worse than the water was probably the dirt. This is the nanotechnology used for the dirt. It is amazing. The dirt is the best thing ever. Dude, when you try to sell your game to me by telling me that I need to appreciate the water and fucking dirt, nah, we're done. There's no reason to even consider yourself, okay? You have a first-person action shooter, and you're selling it by look at the dirt? These people are insane. These people have completely lost it. I mean, they literally have nothing else to honestly do, so I guess it does make sense on some level that they're trying to sell you the game by telling you to look at dirt.
Like, that is the true Halo 1 experience. I would still recommend you play OG Halo 1 via Master Chief Collection, even with those issues in mind, over what Halo Studios has produced. A multiplayer project potentially being nearby, but also maybe not, is a weird in-between here. Like, they were working on Eker, it got canceled, there might be something else. What else were they prototyping in the meantime? How quickly can that get spun up? Are they just reusing the corpse of Eker for now something else? That would be a fourth transition for the game. So who knows what's going on there? That just sounds like a mess. The last and certainly not least here is a campaign project being early development and far from release. This is the part where we get into the future of Halo. It is so uncomfortable to think about the position that they're in with this story and how they completely buried themselves with it through consistent under deliveries and incomplete stories, right? When you got Halo Reach, I think Bungie answered, in hindsight, everything that we could have ever asked for from the Halo franchise, right? There were spin-off ideas I still wanted to see people explore. I always go back to a survival horror shooter based around the Flood. I think that would be absolutely incredible. But otherwise, you had Master Chief's story through 3 games that gradually got better and better. You got the ODST story, and that was just full of emotion. And then you have the ultimate sacrifice in Halo Reach, which just hits so much harder with all the context of those 4 games that I just described to you. That's not to say there were no longer any Halo stories left to tell, but that was a tall task to take on, right? And so here comes Halo 4 with a new enemy type in the Prometheans, and it's inoffensive at best. Here comes Halo 5, which is offensive at best. And ignoring things like Halo Anniversary Edition, I feel like this is really where the heat started to get on Halo Studios quite.
I wonder how actually much the Halo fans have been milked at this point. If you're someone who enjoys Halo games, can you give me like the rundown how many actual Halo milks there have been at this point? Because it seems like there has been an unbelievable amount of them over the past decade.
A bit. But it's really Halo Infinite that once you break down what the goal of that game was, the very labeling of it, what its intent was for both Halo Studios and its fans, you just gotta wonder what is next for the campaign, and is there an answer outside of putting this thing on ice for a while? Think of it this way, right? They did a soft reboot. Here's the Zeta Halo ring. We're dropping the numbered title. We're calling it Infinite, which, let's be real, they'll deny it till they're blue in the face, but the name Infinite suggests that we're going to keep this thing going, and there was no campaign support. The multiplayer support continued on only because of their fans with the Forge mode, but otherwise, Halo Infinite was a soft reset that was supposed to go in the direction of Aatrox and the Endless and other stuff that was concluded in a book, and the Endless trademark was dropped. So are you resetting again now?
God.
Because otherwise, this next Halo campaign is in the same pickle as other Halo campaigns have been in, which is, did you read the books? Did you not read the books? Are you kidding me? And so how I read it is after trying...
I hear literally no one ever talk about the books, by the way. Like, the books exist, even I know that, but who fucking reads the books? That is a question and a half at this point. But yeah, I mean, even Maddie understands that there's probably nothing left of the Halo franchise at this point, and it needs to go on ice. Well, what else are you gonna do with it? Make another game after this with the same fucking developers? No? Well, you could. But what's the point of just burning more money? Xbox kind of wants to make money at this point. Microsoft is very tired with Xbox losing billions. So, yeah, it's not looking good, honestly. So, there we have it. Anyway, that was Mr. Matty Plays, 10 out of 10. Like the video right now. Takes less than a second. Do it now. It helps out a lot. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.